I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch.
Indeed. A child shall lead them.
All right.
Dear
next
listener,
up,
you are in the middle of the music
in the
in art stream by a collection of alliances that you just heard about just now. They decided to take 4 songs, and Sarai is going to explain to you what the deal is with this particular song. Shout out, by the way, to Kellendross. Kellendross, you didn't miss it. This is your song, Anarchy 99, Fall of Efrafa. The first one was the Cult of Luna song. You did miss that one. Glad to see you here, big homie. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I just had to say hi to Kel. You know how that is.
all right. The information on this one is this was Anarchy 99's winner of the Cross Alliance Music in the Arts tournament. This song was inspired by Richard Adams' novel Watership Down. Watership Down is about a group of rabbits looking for a new warren to live when one of them gets a vision that danger will come to their current warren. Efrafa is the current warren. The group manages to escape and encounter dangers and adventures on the search for a new warren. Upon finding an ideal spot, they realize they need female rabbits in order to establish the warren and must return to Efrafa to bring some with them. This leads to a clash with the more brutal leaders of the warren. Those leaders are ultimately defeated, and unity between Efrafa, the new warren, and a third warren between the two is formed.
And that, dear listener, is what you will be listening to. That's some context. Shout out to
Anarchy 99 who brought us this
and
pick.
Now here it is, the Fall of Efrafa. What is it? Something down? What we call it again?
It's literally the Fall of Efrafa is the name of the band, and The Fall of Efrafa is the name of the song.
All right, dear listener, and go. Now you know.
This is pretty. I'm hoping for perfect vocals here. fields are covered with blood.
What song is that on the record? Second to last one. That's
still going?
It's like Raindrops, I
yeah.
think. You know what's interesting?
It's like a fire.
I guess this whole book and everything came about because they would take these long car rides, the author, and he would make up the story off the top of his head to his kids.
Really?
Particularly his daughters. And his daughters made him write it down in the book.
Oh, that's adorable.
So, well, it's interesting because he says, look, I didn't mean this book to be an allegory or whatever. I didn't mean it to be anything other than just
telling a story in the car.
Yeah. Yeah. All I cared about was my daughter and like, I almost feel bad saying that because I feel like, because a lot of people, so Richard Adams told his daughters Juliet and Rosamund this story, and that's pretty much it. That's what he was doing. He wasn't trying to come up with a giant metaphor for the world or anything like that.
That's so interesting. And my cousin used to do that. He would tell us stories about Timmy the Turtle. Well, he really would tell his sister. He was her big brother. He would tell her about Timmy the Turtle.
Adams explained that he meant the book to be only a made-up story, in no sense an allegory or parable of any kind of political myth. I simply wrote down a story I told to my little girls.
Well,
so, I mean,
I guess that means you're really super freaking brilliant if you can just write something off the top of your dome and it has implications.
Well, see, and then you think to yourself, yeah, bro, that was your intention. But subconsciously, are there themes to this story that, you know, because it's like, I remember one time, you know, because me and my buddy, we were going to be original. So we were going to write music and it was going to be original. So we were hanging out in Central Park talking about this. And there was this girl who was an artist. And she said, "Oh, you're gonna make an instrument we've never heard before?" And I said, "No, we're in a band. I play guitar. He's a singer." She's like, "Well, then how can you be original? You didn't make up the guitar." And now, obviously, when I look back at it, we thought Korn was this giant, original, groundbreaking band, and they were. They broke ground. But when I listen to Tony Iommi, I say, well, wait a second.
There's some similarities.
Not only is it this band or this riff, like, there's a whole genre this guy inspired that you picked up your guitar and you were just, I do it all the time. Like, I'm just dilly-dallying, but, I'm in major scale. Why am I in major scale? Well, because that's the first thing that Sean taught me was major scale. So all the shit I do when I want to do solos or whatever, it's all major scales or a broken up major scale. Like our song is, you know, I can show you that drill. Like, so I understand like his intention, right? But like, just like it's not my intention to like rip off of, well, no, I do intentionally rip off people. I said it yesterday.
I was going to say you said it yesterday.
But most of us as guitarists in general don't intend to rip off anybody. We intend to play what comes from our heart. It just so happens that everything that comes from our heart sounds like all of our heroes. So I'm not sure if I'm not sure that you cannot, you know, make an allegory out of this. You know what I'm saying? And even if he didn't intend to in his conscious mind,
it's still,
who knows? Maybe in his subconscious mind, because for whatever reason, this book has really affected people. There's been plays about it. There's been cartoons about it. There's been this band apparently is dedicated to it. So it's a. There you go. Okay, BM fans in the house. Who's a freaking OG. I was just talking about Marxism.
Oh, really?
And Marxism and all that jazz. They later went on to form Lightbearer, which makes a hell of a lot of sense to me. But these guys really, it really affected them, and it affected a lot of people.
Yep.
And so at some level you have to say, it's really weird, like as an artist, sometimes you kind of lose your art. Your art doesn't belong to you anymore because it's so powerful. And the people kind of take it and it kind of means something to them. So even if you didn't mean it for that, it almost doesn't matter. Because once you put the art out there, you're the originator, but it almost doesn't belong to you anymore. It's almost like some artists.
Yeah, I can see that.
Their child becomes an adult and moves out of the house, if that makes any sense. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's always say, like if you're a really good parent, that means you're working yourself out of a job for the most part, unless there are other extenuating circumstances. And I think if you're an artist, maybe that's a pinnacle of art when your art leaves you.
Yeah, I think it depends on the person.
And then identifies with another group.
I think it depends on the person. Some people don't want their stuff touched at all. They don't want you to, you know, just like copying. Like when I was a kid, if somebody copied me, I was like, I did see that as the biggest form of a compliment. But I was around other people that I liked to copy because I always thought that they did certain things very, very well. And they used to hate it when they would get copied. It was so frustrating to them. I think they wanted their stuff to be more original.
This is interesting. So this is the thing. It's called the death of the author, when the intention of the author loses meaning compared to how others interpret it. That's a very, very fascinating concept. So I think that this has kind of been globbed on to, especially Amy Lee's in the house, by the way. Shout out to Amy Lee. A lot of anti-fascists, Watership Down's universal motifs of liberation and self-determination have been identified with by readers from a diversity of backgrounds. The author, Rachel Kadish, reflecting on our own superimposition of the founding of Israel onto Watership Down, has remarked, turns out plenty of other people have seen their histories in that book. Some people see it as an allegory for struggles against Cold War fascism, extremism, a protest against materialism, against a corporate state. Watership Down can be Ireland after the famine, Rwanda after the massacres. Kadish has praised both the fantasy genre and Watership Down for its motif that hit home in every culture. Wow. All passers-by are welcome to bring their own subplots and plug it into the archetype. Yeah, I think this happens with like certain figures that become religious leaders.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the shit that they say, like, yo, bro, I didn't mean, like, obviously it's very dangerous for me to say this because considering everybody knows me. Mm-hmm. Zombie Holic in the house. Greetings from Brazil. Shout out to Brazil. We had a lot of South Americans the last couple of days. Yeah, and so the Warren gets destroyed. This interconnected sort of tunnel. What's really interesting is the movie Us. Yeah.
I thought of it a lot during this
Rabbits were a major theme in that film, and it's really interesting. I almost wonder again, like subliminally, had he read that book? Because if you're talking about self-determination, if you're talking about a warren, because there was a labyrinth underground in the second to last scene of the movie, and you could just see there was this labyrinth underground, and you had these humans, but they were kind of not human, and all they had to eat was rabbit, and they had to eat rabbits and over again, but they finally basically wanted to break out of their shell and come above ground. Yep. So they wanted to abandon the underground and come above ground and determine for themselves their own lives because they're so again, it's this really crazy. And I've listened to a lot of Jordan Peele when he talked about Us because I felt like Us was actually better than Get Out. I felt it was more layered than Get Out.
Oh, it was. I would agree
it's also
that.
more terrifying than Get Out, I think. And so I was listening to, but he never mentioned this at all. He never mentioned this story. But part of me feels like, especially a guy like him, who's such a deep thinker, he must have come across the book at some level. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And so then he writes his story, Us, about people underground who are fighting for self-determination. Yeah. And, these rabbits are kind of the archetype for that. And rabbits feature heavily in that movie, in Us. Yes. So it's one of the more fascinating things to me about human. I think that the craziest question that I've ever been asked on this came from Ben. Okay. When Ben Webb said, he said, Vin, he said, I'm being serious now. Do sounds want to be heard? Yeah. And then, because it's true. Any musician knows this. Like you hear something in your head and then you go and you play it. And none of us thinks like, how the hell did that sound pop into my head?
Where did that originate?
You know what I'm saying? Like one thing where you're just fiddling around with the guitar and you go, oh, I like that progression. Oh, and then you build on it. But a lot of times, like you just hear a sound and you hear a progression that you haven't heard before. Right. And so
see, that doesn't happen to me, but it happens when I write.
Right, but if you were a musician and if you were like on your guitar every day, like like you're swimming in that world, it's kind of almost. That's always the guitar is always in the back of my head from sun up to sundown. Like, so I almost wonder like, same thing with words or with concepts, like it which is crazy. Like, but do these words or concepts have some sort of immaterial cognitive sort of ontology somewhere? Yeah. And then it basically finds the right person. And I'm not even saying God. I'm saying because I've been wrestling with that idea the entire time since he said that, because we were talking about Hoffman and all the rest of it. And, you know, Hoffman makes the argument that even rocks are conscious to a degree. And if rocks are conscious, then sounds are simply vibrations, right? And so there is a physical component to sound.
Yeah.
So there's just so many things. I'm like, I don't know. So, like, did this story want to be told? You know, people talk about their muse. How does this author, he's making up, I mean, and first of all, how incredibly talented must a person be? He was freestaling that shit off the top of his head.
Right.
And it's like this classic book that is inspiring so many different things. So it's just pretty crazy. A good example of the death of the author is the song "Child in Time" by Deep Purple. People often see it as an anti-war piece. In reality, the song had nothing to do with that. Yeah. Yeah, creative imagination, I guess. But the problem is, like, for me, like, I don't work to think of those sounds. I work to translate what I've heard in my head onto the guitar. But there's a lot of times I'm doing something else, and all of a sudden the sound will come, or a progression will come, and then I'll either, like,
take out his phone, and then he does.
I'll literally take my phone out and go dun 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 dun. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
it's cute.
So it's more of like translation than it is imagination. But and that doesn't happen all the time. It's just very, very fascinating to me that people can jump on something and then claim it. And, you know, I think BM Fan and Kel are right. Like, it gets to the point where it's like, it's no longer yours, bro. Like, you're gonna get the royalties and all that, but that child, that brainchild that was gestating within your mind, and that you birthed through a horrible 9-month process of authoring, has now grown up and been either kidnapped or moved out, but it's gone. It's no longer yours anymore.
I mean,
man.
I see that as, like, the biggest, like, hat tip to an artist is that people were able to take their art and make it into something for themselves. So I'm with that all the way. I do think it's important to know, you know, where the author was going. I think that that's a good, like, way to hat tip the author.
Right.
But simultaneously, I think that if people take it and they just go to town with it, that's a compliment for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, you know, blood spilled on toiled grounds, fur will hang in rugged clumps upon the hedgerows, peace is lost to us now, a federate ideal. I mean, all of this could be the Bolshevik Revolution, the American Revolution, you know, the slave revolts. It could be anything where you got a group of people who are forced underground to a degree and have to come out and fight for themselves and fight for their right to even exist or whatever. It could be your LGBT friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be, you know, I mean, just raise a rear against trans women of color are dying, like, you know, they're basically forced underground, societally speaking, and clumps of them are dying in bunches, bro. And it just seems nobody cares. So, like, there's just so many ways you could plug this in, and I don't think I've ever seen something like this before. But maybe I have, because we've reviewed like 2,500 songs.
But you didn't have the breakdown.
But we generally, we don't look at the breakdown because I don't want it to fuck with my interpretation. But at the same time, I would have interpreted the song the same way. You know what I'm saying? The only thing I would have done is I would not have literalized the bunnies. I would have said that the bunnies were metaphorical for whatever. Yeah. But according to the author, it's not. But apparently, it's not his song anymore, bro. So there's that. What do you give the song?
Okay. So when it first started, I loved the sound of it, and then I was like, "Where are the vocal style going to go?" Because there's a certain vocal style that I was kind of hoping for. And then it was different than I expected, and so I was like, "Meh." But then by the end, I really enjoyed it. It's a 9.6 for me.
This is a solid, easy 10.5 for me. And I gotta say, I'm just shout out to Fernando. I'm just very, like, taken aback about this death of the author concept. Yeah. And, you know, that's going to be in my head for thank you guys for that.
And even the way that it's in
my head for, even the way that,
the phrase is
I agree.
Poetic.
I agree. Because that has a lot of implications, man. Yeah. I could, one of the things I got from this channel is and it's ironic because I'm the original Sin guy, but a massive appreciation. I have seen so much of the image of God in these bands and these people, and even our friends that are able to like school us with this stuff. You just see so much of like the fucking brilliancy of human beings, man, and like how truly weird the world is.
Oh, wait a minute. What do you mean by weird?
This dude was in his car.
Oh, yeah.
Just trying to pass the time. And then you think about all the million counterfactuals that put him and those two girls in the car at that moment, and what the necessities were that he was going towards or leaving. Yeah. It's just, how do you go from that to affecting people in our community so deeply that they say, this has to be heard by Vin and Sori,
yeah,
to whatever is going to happen now, that it's mind-boggling to me. Human beings are amazing to me. Just absolutely freaking amazing what human beings are capable of doing. And then to be able to, thoughts and words and books are not physical. They're not.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And like to be able to grasp that and take that from the person who originated it and say it's ours now.
Yep.
Like human beings are insane. It's just unbelievable. I just love the fuck out of human beings, bro. I just love human beings, man. Like shit is crazy. And that's I just think that's just one of the things that God just like, yeah, you guys you fuck shit up, but look at this brilliance. Anyway,
yeah,
it's 10.5. It's unbelievable to me. Unbelievable song. I didn't want to like dig too much into the lyrics because I wanted to respect the author, because the author was like, look, man, this is a straight up story about my daughter for my daughters. It's what it is. Like, so I wanted to respect that and say, okay, bro, okay, I respect that. But at the same time, you still have to talk about the other stuff. And the musicianship in was absolutely beautiful. Especially that last part. I wish, and then to find out that, of course, Lightbearer, of course, because Lightbearer has those long extended interludes of really melodic, sort of oases in the desert type situations, because it's so heavy or so like caustic and they have these really extended, and I love that they're not afraid to have these extended instrumental periods. I'll get there at some point when I'm able to add more complexity, or probably when we're able to like practice more together as a band, so that you can see, like, Seven wasn't able to like hang out yesterday because he's working on his bass part. So like it depends, Yep. Okay, there you are, dear listener. If you are not a square, and you're down with the struggle, we have more music coming your way. If not, it is what it is. We will check you out at 11 a.m. Eastern Standing Time. Standard Time. Having said that, dear listener, Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.